Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your extrasensory perceptional hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and this is the show where we review all the anime series from the previous season we did and didn't watch start to finish. Summer season has concluded, fall season has started, and that of course means in this fully packed episode we are going to do our big sneak peek preview of the shows that just went on the air and that we checked out to tell you what's hot and what's not. And after that, at least in our opinion, and after that we will dive into the world of Aspers and Ghosts by reviewing one of the hit shows from last season, Mob Psycho 100. Since there is already a lot to talk about, we don't have a news segment this time, but we have a bit of an on-field report for you because our embedded reporter John got down and dirty and mingled with the dirty masses at a little event that happened last weekend. John, why did you leave the safety of your home and where did you go?
These walls keep me safe.
Not anymore, apparently.
But, no. I took a little trip to New York City to go to Comic-Con.
Ah, and how was it?
Crowded.
Yeah, well, that was to be expected, I guess.
It's pretty much the end of the con circuit for me, and it's probably like the largest one that I usually go to each year.
How many cons do you visit each year? I know you're going to Con and this one. Any others?
Sometimes there's smaller ones, and my friends and I go to like there's a couple local ones like Hartford Comic Con, Terrificon. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we go out to Rhode Island for Temple Con, which is like a smaller, like non-specific sort of deal.
Okay.
It doesn't really have its set genre.
Okay.
But maybe next year I could convince some people to go to maybe Anime Boston or Otakon or maybe even PAX. Maybe.
I'd like to join, but you know, I'd have to find like $1,000 or euros lying around for a flight to the States and back. So I don't think that's gonna happen too soon. Just go to the airport, just grab onto the landing gear and get yourself a nice ride. Yeah, I'll try that next time. Anyway, what interesting things did you see at New York Comic Con? Anime and not anime related, I guess.
Well, it was kind of hard to find. Well, there was talk of like anime and manga, but didn't really go to many of those panels. I guess the two of the big guests this year were Isuna Hasakura, who is the author of Spice and Wolf, mm-hmm. and Yusei Matsui, who's the author of Assassination Classroom.
All right, a show I started to watch but then dropped, I don't know, for unspecific reasons. It couldn't keep me engaged. I don't know why exactly. Just lost interest.
Yeah, I never garnered an interest in it myself. I know people love it, so, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Spice and Wolf was very popular, so I think those are pretty high-profile guests, maybe.
Yeah, I think Kishimoto was there last year, so...
Oh, boy.
But, another one of the big things was, Viz announced a whole bunch of manga acquisitions, like Anonymous Noise. Some of these I've never even heard of. After Hours, Golden Kamui, Vampire Night Memories, which sounds vaguely familiar. But the other two that I could actually say I've heard of are Tokyo Ghoul Re and Boruto, Naruto Next Generation.
Oh, right.
That's the name they're going with.
I guess so. I mean, I knew there was a new manga coming. Kishimoto said as much, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get a new anime as well soon enough. Whenever Shippuden is wrapping up.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would have figured that Shippuden had already ended, but I was reading some stuff. It's like, yeah, no, the series could have ended on this note, but it's apparently still going.
Yeah, as they do. I mean, after the manga story arc for the first Naruto series wrapped up, they still kept going for 100 episodes or something before Shippuden started.
Yeah, I wonder if this will just be their way of transitioning into a Boruto adaptation.
Yeah. I mean, we already got a bit Boruto in the movies.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure they could find a way to do, stuff in a TV series.
At this point, it's probably better to just, just in terms of Naruto, if you haven't watched the series, just play the Ninja Storm games, because I think it's more fun.
Those games are great.
Yeah, and I think it takes much less time to go through the story modes of those, and the fights probably look much better in a in a lot of situations, and it's more fun. So to actually play that yourself, so
they kind of. I loved Ninja Storm 4, but they kind of cut some corners with parts of the story, because the parts that had gotten adapted in the anime, they just kind of made into very unkinetic, still cut scenes.
Okay.
But then the later parts of the game were just like, oh, hey, these parts aren't animated yet. They actually did, like, CyberConnect 2 went crazy with their full CG, and it looked amazing.
Yeah.
As is their MO for making games look pretty.
Yeah, but apparently they stopped, or they're gonna stop with the Ninja Storm games now.
Well, yeah, but there's still one more expansion due out in February called Road to Boruto.
Yeah, that's the last one apparently.
Which, why isn't it February so I can play it?
Yeah, I mean, just be patient. Eventually, and I'm wondering what they will do after that. But yeah, that's we're getting off on a tangent. More from Comic-Con, if there is anything.
And then a lot of the other stuff I looked at was video games, because I like playing games.
Who doesn't?
I went around the Square Enix booth and got a taste of World of Final Fantasy and FF12: The Zodiac Age.
Oh, how is that? Port, update, upgrade.
It's upscale, remake, redo, whatever you want to call it, and it looks nice. They added some extra little touches that I don't think were in the original. Like when you call up the command menu during a battle, they have these little tactics art style portraits over the menu, so you can see at a glance who it is, as opposed to just putting the name on it, and it looks neat.
Aren't they adapting the version that came only out in Japan, this Zodiac?
Yeah, that's what they're basing it on.
Yeah, I mean that's cool, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it mixes up the license boards for all of the characters, so their growth is a bit more varied, and it introduces new abilities and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that game. I never tried it out, and I would like to. So I'm probably gonna pick up that remaster. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever actually finished the PS2 version. Now I won't have an excuse.
I think the more grievous missing game in that series for me is Final Fantasy IX, because I've attempted to complete that game twice and never got further than the second disc. So I don't know why. I liked it when I played it, but for some reason I always dropped off. And I heard for many people it's one of their favorite Final Fantasy games. So I feel like I'm missing out. Maybe third time is the charm. We'll see eventually.
Yeah, and World of Final Fantasy was neat. It was cute as expected. Because I do really dig the character designs. The other two games I wanted to play were, I've played the past two demos of Final Fantasy 15, but they had a new demo there, and you had to get a ticket for it, and the tickets were all gone as soon as the doors opened, basically. So
naturally, yeah, it's a highly anticipated game.
And then the line for Kingdom Hearts 0.2 was about 3 hours long.
Okay.
So I didn't get to play the two. I got to play a couple of demos I was interested in, but I didn't get to play the two that I really, really wanted to.
Yeah.
And then I made some acquisitions of figures because I weakened.
Hey man, if it's in the budget.
It's not, but I was like, I see them and I want them. I got myself a Nendo Wind Waker Link, and then everything else was a Figma. I got Link Between Worlds Link. Where's the other two I got? Now I have to look in the bag here. I got Figma Dress Saber because can't have enough Saber.
I was about to say.
Because right now I have two, and someday I'll get my holy grail, the Red Saber Figma that was only packaged with Fate Extra CCC.
Holy grail, I see what you did there. But yeah, I mean, you could always use more variants of your waifu, right?
Yeah, and then the other one I got was a little bit of a betrayal of my core beliefs, but it's a character that I like and whose design I actually really like. So I got a Figma of Yuki from Sword Art Online. Boo! Look what you did, John.
Oh no! You fucking traitor!
I'm sorry,
son. I'm disappointed.
I'm sorry.
Really disappointed, man. Anyway. Well, I hope you're enjoying those figures. Yeah, just in general, you said Comic-Con was crowded. I mean, was it hard to move around in general, or did you like...
A couple of days, yeah, it got pretty, to a standstill. Like, hey, can you walk so I can walk, please?
Yeah, I mean, the only big American con I experienced, we went to together, and that was Otakon, and that was pretty manageable in terms of, I don't know, people,
yeah.
in my opinion. But I imagine New York Comic Con to be something on a much larger scale, so I can't quite imagine how difficult it is to move around.
Yeah, it gets kind of congested and bad. I imagine the best day to go and actually see things is Thursday.
Yeah.
But we didn't get Thursday tickets, only Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's what I do when Gamescom is over here and I, actually have free time and can check it out. I always try to go during the weekdays because weekends are a disaster. You can literally, if you go to the shop area, you can only move in one direction. You cannot go against the stream because there's no space. It's impossible. You can only move with the masses. Wow.
It's like Final Fantasy XIV Fan Fest is going on this weekend, and I saw some people on Twitter saying, the line to the merch booths was 4 hours long.
Oh God. Yeah, I remember I wanted to when I went to Gamescom, I wanted to check out the Oculus Rift, and yeah, the line was so long that when I got there, the guy was already saying, "Don't queue up, you won't get in there in time." And it was like, wait, this event is gonna go for another 6 hours or something, and he was like, "Yep," and I'm like, okay.
Jeez.
All right. Yep. Anyway, but yeah, I would like to go to New York Comic Con one day, but like I said, it's probably not gonna happen too soon. But yeah, any recommendations for people besides going on a Friday that you want to dish out from your experience? I mean, you've been to New York Comic Con several times now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything you would recommend for people who have never been?
Be ready for crowds.
Yeah.
Be aware of the fact that if you're going to buy food or drinks inside the Javits Center, that you're going to be paying out the rear.
Okay.
Like a soda cost me $4.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Yeah. And if there's something you want to see, get there early. Not a half hour early, not 5 minutes early. If I wanted to actually play the FF15 demo, I probably would have had to get there at least an hour and a half early.
Okay. So
because what they do is they lead people downstairs into a queue hall, and then they're dispersed from there.
So yeah, probably best advice, pick your one or two things you definitely want to see and get to those places as soon as you can get.
Right.
And then, right, okay. Yeah, but other than not seeing the things you missed out on because of queues, you enjoyed it, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Nice. Okay. Well, good to hear that. And I guess that's it for our, I don't know, con report something, I guess.
Recon.
Damn it. And I guess that's it for our recon. Amazing. Anyway, okay. And with that, we're going to move swiftly into our big sneak peek section and talk about all the shows that started airing this new season. And welcome back to the sneak peek. In here, we're going to talk about all the new shows that just premiered because, like I said, summer season is over and fall season has just started. There's a bunch of new shows to check out, but also a few old ones that returned for a second or third season. And I'm just going to quickly mention those first before we give the new shows their due diligence. First thing would be Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans Season 2. We already did a review of the first season, and now it's time for the second season. Of course, we're going to keep watching that. Why leave business unfinished? And yeah, not much to say about the show right now. I mean, it's pretty much starts like pretty much starts where the first season left off, a few months later, I think. And there are some interesting new faces and somewhat new status quo with Tekadan, having gained more power and everything, and more prestige and everything. And yeah, it's interesting. Looks good as the first season did. Nothing more to add to that, actually. I just hope that the one new guy, I think his name is Hush, doesn't turn out to be a complete tool. Because I'm getting some Shin vibes from him, man.
Yeah, I hope that's not the case.
Yep. Anyway, and the other season continuation I would like to talk about is Haikyuu Season 3, one of my favorite sports anime of the previous seasons, and the third season is mainly against the final match against Shiratora. I don't fucking remember the name of the school they're having a match against. But yeah, it's like their destined opponent for a while now, and they're gonna have the final match in this tournament they're at right now. And Kuroko's basketball did the same, where their final season was just that one match against this super powerful school. And yeah, atmosphere.
Guess you could say their rival school.
Yeah. You're on your A game today, Sean. Whatever that means.
I don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, atmosphere and characters in this show are still great. I mean, the first episode is just set up for the actual match, and it just builds atmosphere and anticipation so well. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic show. The only downer is that we'll only have 10 episodes this season, but as long as I, get more Haikyuu, I'm happy. And the manga is still running, so probably will be more after that, maybe next year or the year after that. So yeah, looking forward to that. If you like sports anime and are not watching Haikyuu, either start watching it now or throw yourself off a cliff, because you are wasting precious oxygen with your ignorant existence, and I can't handle it.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
fucking
no.
Unacceptable. Anyway, John, do you have any season anime that dish out new seasons that you want to talk about?
It's the glorious return of Sound Euphonium.
Okay, a show I haven't watched.
KyoAni's back, and they're back to give us some more musical instrument porn, basically.
All right, literal?
By that, I mean there's like a lot of really good glamour shots of the instruments themselves, and they're very well, illustrated and animated when, they're being played. But it's basically right after the end of the first season, because they had the first season where they had the big band competition at the end. Then they had an OVA that basically directly gapped the first to the second season, so it's almost like there wasn't a break at all because the OVA was only like a month ago. So
I mean, it's pretty neat. So
yeah.
you can get back right in.
Yeah, so, and it's, a very pretty show as it was before. They're kind of laying on the Yuri subtext even harder than they were previously, so that's a thing.
Okay, but as I've like come to understand it, they never go all the way in that show, right? It's like it's more of a tease.
It's just like, oh, maybe Kumiko and Reina have something going between them. And
for the shippers.
Exactly. It's never something that they outwardly say because they don't need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it can, like I say, continues on from the first series, and being a former band kid, I feel like it's a show that I can like really get on level with. So I'm glad it's back for more.
And I guess we're gonna get a review of that and the first season once that is finished.
Possibly.
All right, looking forward to that. Okay, I guess let's head into the first new show. Okay, I'll start with the new shows because, as we just found out, I have twice the amount of shows that John has.
Oops.
So unless I want to talk like for half an hour alone at the end, we should structure this this way. So I'm gonna do 2 shows, and then John is gonna hop in with his first show. Anyway, let's start. The first new show I checked out is Yuri on Ice.
I've heard about this.
Yes, Yuri Katsuki is an ice figure skater. He placed last in the Grand Prix final of figure skating, even though all the hopes and dreams of his hometown rested on his shoulder, and that sends him a bit into a depression spiral for a while. He, gets kind of in a slump. He gets kind of fat. And, breaks off, ends contract with his manager and everything. And in the first episode, he returns to his hometown after finishing college. He isn't really sure where to go now, what his future looks like, if he still wants to, ice skate or do something else. But due to certain circumstances, his big idol, Victor, turns up at his doorsteps and offers to train him.
Oh.
And from there on, shenanigans ensue. A lot of them, actually. This is pretty much Freeze on Ice, and some ingenious person on Twitter said they should have just called the show Freeze. Fantastic. Sorry, I don't remember your name, man, but great. Anyway, it's pretty much that. It's not done by Kyoani, I think. I have to look it up. But
looks like it was animated by Mappa.
Oh, right. Yeah, and they do a much better job on this one than on Days. But yeah, great stuff. I think they got a bigger budget for this. It's just a show. Fantastic animation. Just worth to watch the show for that alone. Just for the actual skating performances, because they look so fluid. The camera movement is nice and everything. It looks very elegant and dynamic, and it's really well animated. It's a gorgeous show.
Cool.
Yeah, also got neat characters, spirited atmosphere. Like, it's really fast-paced and snappy. I didn't expect that. It is really heavy on the comedy, like visual comedy, but also a bit of character humor here and there, and that works really well. I like the style of comedy in the show, and I like the characters, and it's really engaging. And of course, with this show, as with Freeze, there's a high probability of man service in each episode. So if you can't deal with your man meat, of course the show targets a specific crowd, and that crowd will be very happy. Although they didn't go overboard until now. There is a hot spring scene, but other than that, the show is pretty tame in that regard, in my opinion. It's pretty tame with the gainers and everything, and dishing out the flexing muscles. Free was much more giving in that regard. But I enjoy it a lot. It's a funny, great looking show, and check it out. Definitely, it's highly recommended by me and a lot of other people. One of the heavy hitters this season, I think. The second show I'm going to talk about, which I already dropped, I'm sad to say, is All Out. It's a show about rugby.
Mm-hmm.
I like my sports anime, like you said when I talked about Haikyuu earlier, and I was looking forward to the show because it's done by Madhouse, and that's always cool. My ears always like perk up when I hear Madhouse, and. Yes, so I want to check that out. It's like, yeah, this could be cool, and rugby is a very physical sport, so there's probably gonna be some high impact sports action there. But I don't know. Yeah, it feels kind of lackluster. The character constellation is quasi reverse that of Kuroko's basketball, because this time the main two guys are like one small guy and one big guy, and this time the big guy is the soft-spoken silent type and the little guy is the hot-blooded fighting type. But yeah, the animation is kind of lackluster. The characters are not that memorable or super sympathetic or anything, and considering it has to go against Haikyuu and Yuri on Ice in terms of shows with a sports angle, I was like yes, I was pretty immediately sure that I wouldn't keep watching this. Wouldn't have the time for that. If I had to drop one of those shows, it would be that one. Kind of bummed about it that it couldn't, keep me engaged more. But what can you do?
Sounds like our disappointment with Prince of Stride, then.
Yeah, a bit. I mean, sometimes it doesn't click. I could have given it like 2 more episodes, but it was like already. The character dynamics and the jokes and everything, it just didn't work for me for some reason. I expected more, especially in terms of animation from Madhouse. Maybe this didn't get much of a budget, and yeah. Mm. What can you do? But anyway, John, the first show you want to talk about?
So next show I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to mention real briefly since they're short form shows. First one is that the legend will never die. The 8th season of Teekyu is upon us.
Oh boy, 8th season already! Jesus.
It's funny because this is technically the 10th season because it had 2 other spin-offs along the way. Mm. But it's like if you want to actually catch up with the show, each episode is literally 2 minutes long.
Okay.
But it's a show about these 4 girls in their high school tennis club, and they do basically everything but play tennis. The show is built solely upon non-sequitorial humor. So it's one of those sorts of things where I don't feel like it's the subject matter of getting a full review, which is why I'll give you the long and short of it here and now and not later on. But if you like stuff that's like over the top, excessively goofy, maybe it's for you. I just kind of became a captive audience after the first season, so I'm here for the long haul.
I mean, the format of short form lends itself to that style of comedy very, very well, I think.
Yeah.
So consuming that in small bits, just here, it's like a short YouTube clip you watch, and it's a funny cat video. Well, it's funny non-tennis playing people video, I guess.
Pretty much.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I guess the next show I'm gonna talk about is ClassicaLoid.
Oh.
It's a Sunrise show, I think. So tell me if you've heard this generic first episode plot before.
Oh boy, here we go.
The alternate universe versions of Ludwig van Beethoven, who is obsessed with creating the perfect gyoza dish, and Amadeus Mozart are living together in a house with a girl that wants nothing more than for them to leave. And when the house is about to be demolished and Beethoven's first successful attempt at gyoza is ruined, he does a Sailor Moon transformation, turns an old organ from the house into a giant mech. That mech fights the demolition vehicle, which also turns into a mech for some reason. And then, it fights it by dancing with it. And at the end, it turns out the host demolition was a ploy by Johann Sebastian Bach to confirm the location of Beethoven and Mozart before going all andante on their asses. Let me sum up my reaction to that first episode for you right here and now. What the fuck?
This sounds absolutely magical.
Yeah, I guess it. I don't know, man. I just sat there. I just sat on my couch, mouth wide agape, not even remotely being able to comprehend what was going on screen. Pure nonsense. just that final scene alone with the dancing and everything. I couldn't. Wow. I can't possibly. I tried, as you just noticed. I tried to sum up this show, but my description obviously doesn't do the first episode justice. If that sounds remotely interesting to you just because of its absurdity, please check it out. I might keep watching just because the setup is so fucking ludicrous, but the characters are already getting on my nerves. So I probably won't. But yeah, please, I don't know. If you just want to have a real what the fuck moment of whole episode.
Ask yourself what you're doing with your life.
Yeah, yeah. Just watch the first episode of ClassicaLoid, please. Wow, that I didn't see that coming. I can confirm I didn't see that one coming. Holy shit. Anyway, let's get to something I could make at least a bit sense of and enjoyed greatly, and that is Flip Flappers.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've seen that name thrown around too, but...
Yeah, I think you should check out that show, John. I think you would greatly enjoy it. It's about the stiff and serial girl Kokona who gets witched away to a weird different dimension called Pure Illusion, I think, by a playful redhead girl called Papika on her flying surfboard. And pretty much from the first episode on, I mean, Kokona is a bit reluctant in the beginning, but starting from the second episode, they're pretty much, hellbent on going on adventures together, and I think they have to find some weird artifacts in the dimension. There is some machinations going on in the background. The organizations Papika is working on, and it's not clear what their goal is and everything. But yeah, it's a beautiful show. It's incredibly colorful. Has this nice watercolor look to it. I really enjoyed it. The second episode has like this great sequence where they literally go like to down a rabbit hole and go into this like Alice in Wonderland-esque world or part of Pure Illusion that is super crazy. The whole show is really like has a bit of an abstract and I don't know, drug-induced feel to it. It's really great to look at. I hope it can keep that level of animation and design and everything, because this is done by Studio 3 Hertz, who also did Dimension W. And the quality level of that got really bad in the end, in my opinion. So I hope it doesn't drop for this one, because, like I said, it looks really cool. Cool atmosphere, great animation, enough mystery to keep me watching for now. The characters are sympathetic, and I want to see where it goes. Also, it has a super catchy ending theme, which I enjoyed. So we'll see where it goes. But I think the first 2 episodes are really promising. Maybe just check out the first and see if the animation or characters are something to your liking. But I think you could take a liking to it.
Yeah, I mean, like from some of the key art I've seen, the character designs and the colors look very, poppy and eye-catching. But
Color work in that show is great. Fantastic.
But I mean, there's other things that I have interest in watching, so.
Sure. Yeah, you should talk about one of them right now, because it's your turn again.
This is the other short-form show I'm watching, and it's like Teekyu. It's very much a one-trick pony. It's a series called My Wife is the Student Council President. Mm-hmm. And it might as well be hentai, because it's so it walks that line so delicately.
Does delicately, or does it shove it in your face?
It might as well just shove it in your face.
Okay. But it's not, like, offensive or anything.
No, but I mean, I could see where people might, get, up in arms about it, like, bruh, look at all these boobs all over the place, bruh.
But what is the show actually about? Like,
it's about this guy, Izumi, and his... they kind of explain it in a way that, there's this girl who's kind of like his longtime friend, and now she's like the student council president, and they end up living together, and they are like ostensibly boyfriend girlfriend, and the girl Ui just wants Izumi to notice her, so she goes to certain lengths to get his attention. And I don't know, it's got boobs. That's what got my attention. Okay. I'm a very shallow person, ladies.
Okay.
But I don't know. There's some flashes in there. That's a terrible pun. There's some moments in there that I feel like between the two characters kind of touch upon being somewhat genuine character moments, and then there's everything else about the show.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, it is what it is, and that's all that it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, sure. If it's entertaining, I mean, that's enough, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one I'm going to talk about... Oh, God. Yeah. Okay. Occultic 9.
Oh, no.
Jesus Christ. I've
heard things.
Pile of hot garbage. Yeah, I have honestly no idea what that show is about. The first episode consists of a bunch of irritating characters who are introduced like at a breakneck pace, and most of them constantly talk over each other. Almost everyone is suffering from ADHD. Ugh, yeah, it's exhausting. The animation seems alright, but the show like really put everything in its first episode that gave me complete certainty I don't ever want to watch another second of this piece of shit. I zoned out after the first half and started looking at stuff on my phone, and every time I looked back at the screen, something happened that put me off. It's so much irritating stuff, and I tried to make sense of the plot in the beginning, but there's like no explanation or anything. There's no clear line of what's happening, who is doing what. I have no idea. It feels like a bunch of meme spouting and everything. It's, oh, God, Jesus Christ, that was harsh. Yeah, and man, talk about off-putting. I really don't mind ridiculously huge anime boobs. As you can see with the show I'll talk about later, or we'll talk about later. But goddamn, the wreck on the main girl makes her look disfigured.
I've seen pictures of Ryoka and been like, oh, Jesus.
What a shitty character model. What the fuck? Ugh, Jesus, it looks horrifying. Yeah, anyway, shit show. Hated the first episode, like, really, like, it made me almost angry, but then I decided to not give a shit, and just looked at my phone, but yeah, fuck that noise. I'm not gonna watch that, and I recommend you don't either.
I would have expected better from the author of Steins Gate.
Yeah, and maybe the show will get somewhere interesting, but the first episode has so much shit in it that made me not want to watch it. Like I said, that I immediately zoned out. I don't need this in my life, not at all. What I can always do with in my life is a bit good old-fashioned murder. I'm sorry.
What a transition.
Yes. So let's talk about Drifters.
Hey.
Yay. It's a show by Kota Hirano, the creator of Hellsing. And if you've watched Hellsing, you already can, or you know what that means, or you can assume. I didn't know that he did it when I started watching the first episode, but the character design kind of gave it away pretty fast. It's not the most aesthetic character design, I would say.
I was saying to CC before he started recording that the character designs are like, whoa.
really rough and sometimes ugly faces and everything. And the animations is a bit wonky in parts too, but it's serviceable. It's all right. I've seen worse. So, it's... If you know Hells, you kind of know what to expect. It's a very bloody, hyper-violent show. There are a lot of cruel, violent deaths in that show. A lot of dismemberment and decapitation. Lots of blood. It's about a bunch of historical figures basically getting whisked away right before dying in their respective time periods to fight against each other in some kind of fantasy land. And over there, they're called drifters.
Sounds like some sort of Valhalla type situation.
Yeah, a bit. And in the first episode, we only get the Japanese side of things. So, of course, Oda Nobunaga is one of the characters. But apparently in the future we'll also have characters like Joan of Arc, Butch, Sundance, and Billy the Kid. Stuff like characters like those are there. I think the two old guys fighting in episode 2 were supposed to be Julius Caesar and Hannibal. So I don't know, maybe. But one of them mentioned something about crossing the Alps again, so I was like, oh, okay, huh. Anyway, it took me like 2 episodes to get warmed up to the show because I was afraid this would be just another one of those Nobunaga fan wanks that we had so many of over the past seasons. Like there was like one show with Nobunaga in the title like every season, I feel like.
Yeah, I think at one point there were overlapping shows. There has to have been.
Yeah, so I think there's another one still running. But apparently it's not that. It's a fun like all-out battle royale between historical figures, and I think that's kind of appealing. Like the setting is somewhat interesting, and I'm just looking forward to a bunch of historical fantasy what-if battles. Basically the ultra-violent version of epic rap battles of history. Just play out in this world. Something about the idea of the greatest fighters and military commanders in, our history duking it out in a world with elves, dwarves, and other fantasy shit is quite appealing to me. The opening is pretty cool too. So looking forward to more of that. Definitely not for everyone. Like I said, it's not for the faint-hearted people out there. But if you like your a bit of hyper-violence here and there, and I don't know, crazy fantasy shit, give it a watch maybe. So far it's been entertaining, and I kind of want to see where it goes. So
cool.
What's the next show on your roster?
I think it's time to go back to work with web working.
All right.
While it is the 4th season of working, it is not strictly linked to the other 3 seasons of the show, because apparently after the original series ended, the author decided, hey, I'm going to, take this series and make it into, a web manga with a different cast of characters. Basically, what is the restaurant Wagnaria has apparently been franchised out, and now there's more than one location. So our main character, Daisuke, gets a job at this sister location, and he's surrounded by all sorts of crazy people there.
Okay.
Like, we've got a girl who can apparently see and interact with ghosts and spirits, but doesn't believe in ghosts and spirits.
Oh boy. Okay. How does that work out, though?
This is like in the first episode, but this girl walks up to the front entrance and says, welcome. Can I show you to a seat? And there's no one there.
Wait, did working have a fantasy angle before?
No, not strictly.
So I guess they can get away with it because it's more of a spin-off this time.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. But it seems like you were enjoying it, and it's up to par with the older stuff.
Yeah, it's got the same kind of goofy, likable cast. I think I said on Twitter, it's like you got a transfer at your job, and you're making new friends in a similar setting, sort of situation, and it's just it's fun. It's animated by our friends at A1 Pictures, and this is one of the shows that they have to do well.
Yeah.
It's in their contract. I firmly believe that.
Well, they do that for? I mean, the other shows look good, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's probably popular enough that they get enough of a big budget, like they did with Sword Art Online or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh well. Okay. Yeah. I hope you're gonna enjoy the rest of that too.
I think it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. All right. Next show I'm going to talk about is a blast from the past, I guess. Tiger Mask W. I don't know if it's double or W.
I've seen again another name I've seen thrown around, but don't know anything about.
Yeah, it's based on an old 1970s wrestling manga.
Oh shit!
You know, like what if wrestling was real and deadly? That's basically the angle.
Hold on, are you telling me that wrestling isn't real?
Oh, sorry, John. Did I ruin your fantasy?
Shit!
Fuck. Anyway, I'm sorry, but yeah. So story setup: the mentor and father, respectively, to two boys, gets badly injured and I think paralyzed because he's in a wheelchair later. In the ring by his opponent Yellow Devil, and the two boys start training and don the identities of Tiger Mask and Tiger the Dark, and they both try to find and enact revenge on Yellow Devil in their own way. It's got old-ass 70s designs, and they're updated pretty well, like they did with for Parasite and Ushio and Tora. Those were 80s shows. But yeah, they did the update for this one pretty well again. And the animation in the first episode could be worse. But considering it's a Toei show, it most definitely will be worse later on. So I don't have any real incentive to keep watching the show. Since the characters and story setup are not really interesting. I mean, if you really dig really old school sports and shonen stuff from the 70s, maybe check this out. I'm not really a fan. For me, the good stuff started in the 80s. Mostly, except when it comes to science fiction stuff. But I wasn't that intrigued with what I saw in the first episode, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to drop it. Yeah, that doesn't mean that it's a bad show or anything. It's just that,
not for you.
If the animation in the fights, if the fight choreography was more interesting or anything, that would have won me over. But like this, it just it's too flaccid, I guess. Not for me. Anyway, and the next one I'm gonna talk about is Nanbaka. This is another weird one. It's about like these four wackos with special abilities who are trying to escape from Nanba prison, the apparently safest prison in the world. And yet in the first episode, they're already pretty much at the gates or managed to get out of the actual building, but then get held up by a special warden. The setup for this sounded more interesting than the first episode turned out to be. It sounded like, okay, this is gonna be maybe has like this dark twist to it, and they have to escape the prison in each episode in a new way or something, and I don't know, maybe each episode one of them gets killed or something, I don't know. But yeah, it's basically a comedy show with rather bad slapstick. There are some story setups that could turn into something interesting, but I'm not really willing to stick around those characters long enough to find out they're somewhat irritating, and I'm not really interested to see what happens to them.
Yeah, I mean, I had read like a surface, or no, I think I saw like the first PV for it, and I was like, wow, this looks goofy. And I just kind of went on my merry way. Yeah,
and I mean, it's in the title too, like Nanbaka, and this show's mentioning several times, everyone is stupid. The inmates are stupid. The guards are stupid. So that's true, and it's not really. I don't know. The humor is just not for me. It's maybe too basic, not that creative and everything. So yeah, I didn't enjoy it. And while I think the super colorful designs of the show look somewhat cool, like it's really, really colorful and really popping, but there's this weird sparkly filter on everything that's really weird. It's like the picture is like it's someone threw sparkly dust on a picture, and it's like blinking the entire time, like in every scene. It's I don't know, off-putting for me at least. I don't know. Wasn't that fun? That fun to look at. But yeah,
it sounds like it's an acquired taste, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Just felt mediocre to me. Anyway, another show you want to talk about?
Brave Witches.
Yes, which is
jump right into it.
Which is kind of a sequel to Strike Witches, I believe.
Yeah, it takes place 5 years after, I believe, and it focuses on a new main character, Hikari Karibuchi, and it's all about this story that takes place in like a World War II era, fighting off these aliens called the New Roy. It's all very familiar territory if you know Strike Witches proper. Takes place in not Europe and in not France. Like they kind of go out of their way to call things, call different places things, other things. It's kind of like with I can't remember now what I was going for.
There's a show this season that I'm going to talk about later that's doing the exact same thing, actually. So.
Right, right, okay. Like they refer to Europe with the actual Japanese word Oshu.
Okay.
France is Gallia.
That makes sense.
Russia is O-Russia.
England is probably Britannia.
They haven't really talked about England, so, but it would make sense. But, in O-Russia, there's a base at Petersburg. Not St. Petersburg, Petersburg. But, it's all about, ostensibly magical girls with these units they strap onto their legs called striker units, let them fly and take the fight to these aliens in the air. And, it's I don't know if it's anything really groundbreaking because, when Strike Witches came out, it was novel, it was neat. This kind of feels like it's just kind of treading the same territory without any broad strokes or changes. And there was a show this past season that I kind of feel the same about, but I ended up enjoying in the end, so we'll see.
All right.
I just kind of hope that Silver Link can hold it together for the whole season.
Hope they do. Anyway, another show I checked out is Natsume's Book of Friends. And this is about a boy named Takashi Natsume, who has the ability to see yokai. And one day he finds out why that is, and it's because of a book he inherited from his late grandmother, Reiko, which, by the way, all the yokai call him Reiko because I guess maybe, because of the book. It's not that clear in the first episode.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because of his smell or something, or maybe he smells like his grandmother, or But I think it's because of this book, because in this book, his grandmother collected the names of a lot of yokais, wrote them down, and thus bound pretty much the yokai to, I don't know, to her. Basically make them contractual friends or something. Because the book is also called the Book of Friends. Now since Takashi inherited the book from her, he is, that's the same for him now. And when he finds out, Takashi makes it his goal to find out all the yokais' names around town and erase them from the books to set them free. So...
that sounds kind of like a pleasant concept.
Yeah, he seems to be a cool guy. Just from the atmosphere, this gives me a bit of a Flying Witch vibe. Small town, rural life, some weird supernatural beings. But this seems a bit more plot-focused than, slice of life. And the yokai are cool and weird and even a bit scary in some regards. There's this weird woman living in a vase or a pot that moves around in the first episode, and everyone's saying, "Oh, stay away from her. She's scary," and she kind of is, like, with this weird long arm coming out of the of the pot, and And this is, it's cool. It's just cool atmosphere. It's a bit weird, and Takeshi is a sympathetic main character, and he has this cat with him, this yokai cat that can turn into like this giant, I don't know, Nine-Tails Fox-esque thing. And he calls the cat Sensei for some reason. I guess we'll learn more about that as the show progresses. But yeah, it's just, the show feels cool, has a nice atmosphere. I assume it will be mostly about Takeshi finding out what kind of person his grandmother was, and why she created the Book of Friends and everything. And I'm down for that. It seems like a good, chill anime to relax to. And yeah, I'm looking forward to, delve deeper into that world.
Cool.
All right. Another thing, a world I probably won't delve into further is the world of Trickster. And that is based on an Edogawa Ranpo, or two Edogawa Ranpo novels, Boys Detective Club and Fiend with the 20 Faces or something. Is basically a detective agency fighting against a criminal called Fiend with 20 Faces. And in the first episode, one of the detectives stumbles over a boy with some kind of special repelling powers he can control, and does want to kill himself because he involuntarily hurt, I don't know, people or animals or something, without, being able to avoid that, and hates his life and everything. And I guess he's gonna like turn over and help the detective agency eventually. It feels a bit like Bungo Stray Dogs without the weird comedy angle, but that doesn't make it that much more interesting or the characters more appealing. It seems kind of cliche and, I don't know, flat. I'm not familiar with the source material, so it doesn't really hold any merit in seeing how they adapted that story either. Couldn't keep me engaged. The first episode, I'm probably gonna drop it. Maybe give it one episode more, see if it catches on. But yeah, it's nothing in the first episode was particularly interesting or nouveau or everything or anything that I was saying, okay, this let's see how this turns out. Because the only interesting thing was the villain, and I don't think that can keep me engaged for the rest of the show, especially when there's so much other stuff to watch.
Right.
All right. What's another show that you have?
This is the last show I'm going to talk about that actually has a link to previous stuff I've watched. So hooray!
Okay. Yay!
It's Vivid Strike. It's basically not Nanoha.
Okay.
So it kind of follows after the story of Lyrical Nanoha Vivid, and since neither Nanoha nor Fate are part of this story, it kind of makes sense that they drop the pretense of calling it a Nanoha series. Mm-hmm. It kind of focuses on this new character Fuka, who is essentially, how can I say this nicely, a street rat.
That doesn't sound nice at all.
Well, she's, like kind of an orphan, but she's a drifter and gets in a lot of fights.
What kind of drifter? Kota Hirano drifter?
No, not quite.
Okay.
But I'll get to the whole studio thing in a moment. But it's about this girl Fuka, and she doesn't really have a place in life really. She's kind of goes around with this other girl Rine, and Rine gets like adopted by this very affluent family, and she becomes like, I guess, how can I describe it, like this like prize fighter type thing, but not quite, since it's not really in the ring with boxing gloves. It's more like a magical augmentation type sort of thing, because it's all a Magical Girl series. Fuka and Rine get in like this big huge argument and have a disagreement, and they get very estranged. And then Fuka ends up falling in with Vivio, who was the main character of the previous series, and a whole crew of their characters, and finds a place with them. They, give her a place to stay so long as she agrees to work at one of the other characters owns this gym. She says, we will give you room and board if you work for us. And she's like, hey, I can't say no to that offer. And one of the other deals, or one of the other conditions of this agreement is that, they're going to help train Fuka so that she can stand on the same level as Rine, and maybe, at some point down the line, they'll be able to communicate with their fists once again, and they'll be able to, they'll be able to talk to each other and be friends again. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Mm-hmm. Because, that's one of the big central themes in pretty much every Nanoha series is, overcoming, troubles with friendship and, getting to know, the other a bit better.
Right.
But yeah, I'm kind of glad that this show is back where it belongs, because Lyrical Nanoha Vivid was animated by A1, and they really phoned it in.
I remember you being really, really disappointed by that.
Oh my god, it looked bad, man. But now it's back with its proper home studio, 7 arcs, and from the first couple of episodes I've seen, it's definitely back at the level of quality that it deserves to be. So
I wonder why they switched studios to begin with.
I don't know. I haven't been able to find any reason for it, I guess. And I don't remember if 7 Arcs had any other projects at that time, so...
Maybe they did. Maybe it was just work overload, and they had to decide one franchise they had to give to another studio, and that was that. Which is surprising, because I think Nano has a pretty huge fan base, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So would maybe want to keep that as your, main project?
I mean, 7 Arcs has done other projects along the way, but I feel like Nanoha is, like, their claim to fame.
Yeah, weird. I don't know how that kind of, how those kind of franchises are handled in terms of, which studio does what, who decides that what studio does what series and everything. So yeah, I wonder what went on there. If one of our listeners has any idea how that stuff actually works and what could be the reason for a show like that switching the studios and then doing this stuff, please enlighten us. I would like to know.
Oh yeah, the one last thing I mention is that the show kind of breaks tradition from the other Nanoha series, because the opening and ending themes have along the way all been sung by Nana Mizuki and Yukari Tamura, respectively, the voice actresses for Fate and Nanoha. But this time around, they changed it around to the new main characters, so I guess makes sense.
Well, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because now it's sung by Yui Ogura and Inori Minase, respectively.
So would you be content with, them permanently turning over to those new characters, or would you like to see more of the old crew?
I'd like to see them, if they, have a story to tell with the old crew, go back to them. But, if they don't, that's their prerogative.
And was the story finished, for the old characters?
Yeah, I feel like it.
Okay. Then it's okay. I mean, if they're no big cliffhangers at the end, then I guess that's fine.
Because, there's still the third Nanoha movie that's coming at some point that's going to have its own original story, but, we'll see how that pans out.
All right.
Anyway, I've gone on long enough. Sorry.
No, please. Not when compared to me. Holy shit. Anyway... Let's talk about a show that I know we both checked out. Let's talk about Keijo! With how many exclamation marks in the title? I don't know.
8 exclamation points.
Anyway, the first thing anyone who ever played a video game, I guess, thought when they saw the trailer for this was... Oh boy, someone turned the infamous Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball minigame into an anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's basically what it is.
You know what's funny, actually, is there's a cross-promotion with DOA X3 in Japan.
That's a smart thing to do, obviously. Why wouldn't you do that?
Right?
I mean, like, are they like doing DLC and putting characters from the anime into the?
I think it's just their swimsuits, not the characters proper.
Oh, that's a shame.
Although
maybe that's going in the future. Maybe
it would be fun at some point if they added in some of the characters from the show, though.
So yeah, this anime has like the very complicated story setup of a bunch of girls standing on floating platforms using their tits and asses to knock each other into the water. And that's it.
And then they win big cash prize if they're the last woman standing.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the main motivation for our main character in the beginning. It's like, holy shit, you can earn a lot of money with this dumb shit. Let's do it. It's like, what? Okay. Sure, that's a good motivation as any, I guess. And it's what it is.
It has no reservations about what it is.
Exactly, it's a dumb fan service show. It's tits and asses fights. It's, I don't know. At least the first episode was pretty well animated, in my opinion. I think it's done by Zebek.
It doesn't deserve to be as well animated as it is.
And maybe the animation quality will drop later on, we'll see. But yeah, for now, I think the fight choreography was actually good, in my opinion, even though it was stupid and ridiculous. The can it be boobs? Can it be an ass that looks like giant boobs? Yes, it can. Yes, it can, and it is a special move. I love that the show like that has actual special moves. It's kind of like a tournament fighting anime in that regard. It's ridiculous.
It's a sports anime, but with a really goofy twist.
It's sports, or sports anime, or something like, I don't know. A bit of Dragon Ball feel in certain parts, just like, okay, we got actual fighting going on here. Yeah. Anyway, it's mindless fun. If you are offended by any kind of fan service, don't check this out, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you like your dumb, trashy shows with a super dumb plot setup that's just, that's entertaining for the heck of it, please check it out. This seems to be a well-made, funny show that doesn't take itself seriously at all. There are a lot of funny visual gags in there. There's some ridiculous jokes they do with the fights and everything and the characters. This will definitely be my happy feel-good trash anime of the season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I enjoyed the shit of the first episode. I hope the series keeps up that pace and that level of animation quality. Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, didn't expect to enjoy the show that much. I'm usually not into fan service only shows, but this was just so dumb and so over the top and such a stupid promise, but going all out on that stupid promise and all the way and just the extra mile in terms of presentation. Yes, all the yes.
They're not pulling any punches on it. They're just going in hard, and I respect them entirely for that.
So yeah, I don't know if I miscounted or anything, but I only have one show left, John. So you want to go next?
Sure. So before I talk about this, this kind of ended up being a replacement for another show I wanted to watch. One show I was curious about this season was the other 7-arc show called Idle Memories, but it hasn't been picked up through like Amazon or Crunchyroll or Hulu or Daisuke or what have you. And as much as we avoid trying to talk about fan subbing on the show, no fan subbers have picked it up either, so I kind of had to push it aside for the time being until someone somewhere picks it up. So, shrug. But the show that I ended up picking up in its place out of sort of a curiosity was something called Girlish Number.
Mm-hmm. Watched the first episode of that as well.
Because I saw a tweet about it that was very much a commentary on, it's about this girl who's, trying to become a big name voice actress, and it's like, oh, here's your next role. We have the source material back at the office. Would you like to read it? Oh, is it a manga? No, it's a light novel.
Yeah, she got this great look on her face.
The look on this girl, Chitose's face, it's just like, it's perfect. It's spot on.
We've been there. We all have been there.
What I love about it is the show is created by Wataru Watari, or co-created by him, who wrote my teen rom-com Snafu, which is also a light novel, so he knows exactly where he's coming from.
Yeah, I like that the show has like this pretty, I don't know, edge.
It's the unglamorous side of voice acting.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Everyone is so catty toward each other, and I love it.
I mean, the sentence "this industry is kind of rotten" is uttered very often throughout the first episode. It's more of a cynical, a bit more mean-spirited look at the industry than I don't know, something like Shirobako seemed to be. That seemed to be very optimistic. Wasn't like ignoring the shortcomings of how the industry works, but was still had like this optimistic outview. And I'm not sure Girlish Number is going that route. It feels like it's gonna it's gonna pack some punch.
It's gonna be a little bit more real. I feel like
it's like, hey, these producers are idiots.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to these guys. Come on, let's bounce. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and fucking the idol superstars are egoistic, sassy assholes.
She's very much a diva, one of the characters, well, several of the characters. But one of them, insists on stressing that she is a voice actress, not a voice actress, mind you.
I'll give this one another 2 episodes, but because I'm not sure I'm gonna keep with it right now, because I don't think those kind of shows are for me, sadly. Shirobako couldn't keep me engaged, and this seems to venture kind of a ballpark, a bit more, edgy, a bit more mean-spirited, which is interesting to me, which makes it more appealing. But weirdly enough, I don't think I seem to be interested in anime's view on anime industry for some reason. It's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Maybe I'd rather watch a documentary about that. I mean, it's fun to see, tackle this in a cynical way. But I don't know, it will keep me engaged for 12 episodes or something. Like I said, Shirobako couldn't do that, and everyone loved that show who watched it, and was like, nah, I don't see it. So I don't know. I maybe wait for your judgment on the show in general. Just when you're done with it, tell me if it kept up like the cynical approach and maybe got even a bit more nasty on the way. Then I'll probably pick it up again, because I'd like to. That would be more appealing, like it being a more earnest kind of show in that regard. That makes it more interesting. But it seems like you are all in after the first episode. Yeah,
it kind of got my attention very quickly, so I'm
cool.
Looking forward to more of it.
Neat. The last show I will talk about is disregarding the season 2 shows like Haikyuu and IBO, my favorite first episode of a show this season, and it's Izetta, The Last Witch. Just like just like Brave Witches, it's basically set in an alternate reality version of World War II. It's 1939. Germany, or Germania in this show, has made its move and started invading the neighboring countries. One of those countries is Eilstadt, which I think is supposed to be Austria in this universe. And the princess of that country, Fine, is traveling incognito to this show's version of Switzerland to have a secret meeting with the ambassador of Britannia. And naturally, shit goes awry. She gets taken prisoner by the Germans and ends up in the same German plane as a mysterious stasis pod or coffin or something like that, which, as it turns out, houses an old acquaintance of her from her youth, a witch named Izetta. And Fine manages to free Izetta, and the two escape together. And yeah, that first episode had me like hooked from the very beginning all the way through the end. It was just fantastic pacing, cool characters, cool setup. I always like myself I always like when story, devils in alternate history stuff a bit. That you can always do something interesting with that, and the show set in pretty interesting ground rules for itself and everything. And it looks amazing. Especially the flying in that show. Izetta isn't your everyday witch. She doesn't have a broom, but a fucking tank rifle she's flying on. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. She's like at the end of the first episode when she of course this is a bit spoilers, but like I said, this all happens in the first episode. At the end when she awakens, she basically explodes the plane they're in, and she saves Fine by transforming one of the rifles into a giant-ass tank rifle, and then they fly away on it. And it's fucking amazing. It looks great. There, in the second episode, there is a dogfight later on where she has to escape from German planes from a few German fighter planes, on that rifle. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's well choreographed. It looks amazing. In general, the direction is top notch. There's a train chase in the beginning of the first episode, which is incredibly well shot and well paced. Yeah, music is on point too, especially when Izetta is freed from her coffin. Cool stuff all the way through. I really enjoyed it. I hope the show can again keep this level of quality, because right now I'm all in. I want to see more and want to see where the story goes. Fina is cool. Izetta is cool. I want I want to see where it goes. I kind of get a bit of a Valkyria Chronicles vibe from this. And yeah, feels cool. It's cool. Definitely the coolest show. Like I said, disregarding the season continued season shows I talked about in the beginning, that definitely the coolest show that started new for me anyway. And I want to see more Izetta. So yeah, highly recommended by me. Please check it out. If that doesn't like take a huge downward spiral for some weird story reason, or the animation gets shitty, you'll probably get a review of that at the end of the of this season, because I was blown away by the first episode, and I'm pretty sure some of you out there will be too if you give it a chance.
Cool.
So yeah, John, do you have another show you want to talk about?
Nope, that's it.
All right, okay, then I guess we're out of the sneak peek. Those were a lot of shows, again, like with every sneak peek, but we're not gonna let you go until we, did our first review of, the last season. So summer season 2016. So stay tuned for that. Shigeo Mob Kageyama is a boy with tremendous psychic powers. Under the guide of his somewhat crookish boss Reagan, he uses those powers to extinguish evil spirits. But even though he is gifted with this huge potential, he doesn't really like to use his powers and just wants to be a normal boy with a normal life, a girlfriend, and serious abs. But he's forced into action when certain circumstances make him face other espers with great powers, and he also gets in the way of a powerful organization that wants to use the power of psychically gifted people for their own plans of world domination. And yeah, that's what happens in the show, basically. So, of course, we're talking about one of the big hit shows from last season, Mob Psycho 100, which I believe is also one of our favorite shows from last season. And it's based on a webcomic by One, the creator of One Punch Man. And I believe that webcomic is still running, if I'm not mistaken. So, probably going to get more Mob Psycho 100 in the future, which I'm looking forward to. Unlike One Punch Man, it's produced by Studio Bones and not by Studio Madhouse, and directed by Yuzuru Tachikawa, who has done Death Parade before, also a great show.
Mm-hmm.
The whole team went all out on this one. I think we can safely say this is a great amazingly looking show.
Yeah, the show was like overloaded with instances of Sakuga.
Yes. It's not. I mean, there are a lot of parallels to One Punch Man, I would say, just because it's the same creator. But just in terms of animation, this is different. It's much closer to one's original designs, which makes sense since One Punch Man is based on the manga version of that story, which was illustrated by Yusuke Murata, and thus it looks much cleaner and slicker in the source material already, and of course then in the anime too. And the Mob Psycho anime has a much more loose or rough look to it. More characters with weird, simple faces, more scribbly lines, more colors blending into each other, and a lot more loosely animated action scenes. A lot of the action scenes in the show turn into pretty much a tornado of colors and lines. It's an incredibly cool and vivid style and super fun to look at, in my opinion. Did you feel the same?
It was at times it was like a visual assault.
Yeah, but in a good way.
Oh yeah,
you're sitting there getting pressed into your couch cushions and just enjoying it. Just be warned, there's a lot of weirdly designed stuff in that show. Some really weird character designs.
I do like that it is more in line with the original work, though. I know you just said that, but I feel like that gives a good appeal that, it is less clean than One Punch Man,
So, yeah, that's my question. Did you overall, prefer this more rough style to the more clean-cut style of One Punch Man, or would you say they're, more even, their qualities are set more evenly? I don't know.
It's obviously going to be down to personal preference when you ask people, but I feel like both styles have their place. I wonder if we would have felt differently if the styles were switched. Like if Mob Psycho 100 were the cleaner looking one.
I feel like the more rough style lends itself to, especially in the first half of Mob Psycho, more to the comedy angle, because the show is focusing on that in the beginning. And I don't know, for the comedy, the loose style works even better than the clean cut style. So I feel both shows got the respective right styles for them to make them feel right.
Yeah.
Like you said, it would be interesting to see One Punch Man in a more loose style of Mob Psycho, but just in terms of how the shows are approached and what the story is like and what the characters are like, One Punch Man feeling more like a classic action show. I think the clean cut style works better for that, and Mob Psycho also relying heavily on its emotional component and everything. And, basically a lot of this show being about Mob being in emotional distress and having conflicting emotions and everything. I think the more loose style also lends itself, just from a visual perspective, also more to that theme than it would in One Punch Man. So I think both shows work great with the styles they or got the best style they could get for themselves for themselves respectively. So I would also like to highlight the opening for this show.
Oh man, the show's opening is a fever dream.
Yeah, which is just an outstanding 1.5 minute showcase for what animation can do if unchained. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. It's just, if you want to show someone hey, here's some cool shit that is anime.
It will confuse you, but that's okay.
It's okay. Just, want to see some cool shit that comes out of animation from Japan? Yeah, watch this. You can use it for I don't know, for a music video, for a commercial or something. It's an eye catcher. It's fucking amazing because there's so much weird shit happening, and it's still all related to the show. When you watch the show, everything from the opening makes sense. That's the weird thing. And yeah, it's cool. Man, it's a fantastic opening. One of the best I've seen in anime ever, in my opinion. Great song too. It works really well. thematically, it connects to the show. Great stuff, man.
Yeah, it has.
I don't know how many times I've watched that thing.
Yeah, the song has like this amazing, like basically rising crescendo all the way through up to the very end, and it fits so well.
Yeah. Talking about music, music in that show is great too. Done by Kenji Kawai. We've talked about him before when I reviewed Joker Game. Like I said, like we said then, he's also done the music for Gundam 00, Pet Labor, Ranma. But yeah, music in Mob Psycho is great too. Not only the action parts, but of course also especially the heavy emotional bits that are in this show when Mob, is basically in a bad place, and the music makes it's like the perfect complementary component to that. Yeah, it works really well. Really, really great underlying the themes of the show. So yeah, loved it. So I want to judge Mob Psycho 100 on its own merits, but I think it's interesting to put it and One Punch Man side to side a bit longer, just because they have the same creator and somewhat similar basic setups. So both these shows are about people with extraordinary powers who could probably rule the world and are kind of unbeatable if they wanted to, but want something else entirely and are not happy with their current place in life. Just from the basic setup, those shows are somewhat comparable. And I wonder if one used certain parts of his I don't know, of his own persona and put them in Mob and Saitama respectively. I mean, there's always a bit of the author in its work and its characters, but I wonder if it's like, here's a facet of his persona, and it's, he sees he sees himself a bit in Mob and Saitama respectively because of different reasons. But yeah, it's interesting. Saitama just wants to be a hero and find an opponent who is strong enough to give him a challenge and validate his existence. Because he get bored with being the most powerful being on the planet and everything, and he is aching to be able to go all out, show everyone his max potential, experience all the strength he can muster and all the excitement and ecstasy of battle. And character-wise, Mob is the complete opposite of that. He has these incredible powers, but doesn't want to use them at all. Right? I mean, most of the show, he is afraid to hurt people, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he just, he doesn't want to get in anyone's way. He doesn't want anyone to get in his way. He just wants to, wants everyone to, take it easy, not, want to hurt anyone or, emotionally or physically.
Yeah, or scare them away. He's when his brother tells him that he's scared of him, it's like he's, I don't know.
He seems very taken aback by it.
Horrified by it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to achieve a form of happiness and fulfillment in his life that he thinks his powers can't give him, like a kind of sense of normality. And yeah, that's kind of, yeah, like I said, the opposite of what Saitama wants, which is pretty interesting. The threat of Mob reaching 100% due to some emotional distress is probably scaring him the most.
Because he has no control, basically.
Yeah, exactly. He's always trying to find it. And depending on what emotional state he is in, his powers always manifest in different ways. So I guess there's a reason for that, because he can't predict what's going to happen. I'm not even sure if he's fully aware what's happening when he reaches 100% all the time. I'm pretty sure he isn't sure what he's doing. But yeah, so it's kind of validated, right? I mean, his powers are so strong, and but maybe if he fully committed to them and used them all the way through, he would be able to better control them. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a self-made problem in a way. I don't know. It's like I said, it's interesting. Both shows also use some of the same themes when it comes to social commentary. If you read between the lines, well, sometimes you don't need to because it's shoved in your face. But they both have a lot to say about how society treats certain kinds of people, or people in general, how certain people cope with that, and what the idealistic solution to some of those injustices are. I like gangbuster action shows that still give you food for thought, and both Mob Psycho and One Punch Man deliver in that regard, in my opinion. it's not all dumb dumb people hitting each other.
Yeah, there's substance behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Some meat to it, and it's not all super deep or anything, but it's like I see what the show is doing here. Okay, Mob Psycho is a bit more vague than One Punch Man. I feel like just like with the show itself, One Punch Man is more direct with what it wants to say. Mob Psycho is like keeps guessing you a bit in the beginning, and you're like, okay, where are they going with this? What does the show want to say? At the end, it gets more clear, and just in terms of character constellation and Mob's arc and development and everything, and it's like, oh, okay, this is what it's about. But yeah, it's like I said, some food for thought in there, and I like it when a show does that. It leaves more of a lasting impression even after you finish the show, and it maybe makes you want to go back and watch it again, just so that you can find something else relying to the theme that you didn't see before, or I don't know, look it up online and see what else it could relate to. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Pretty great in that regard as well. In line with the character of the show, Mob Psycho starts out a bit slower than OPM. I think in One Punch Man you got a pretty big action showpiece in every episode from the get-go.
Yeah, it was a lot more flash than right out the door, I should say, than Mob Psycho 100 is. Mob kind of takes its time to build up, but when it hits that point, it's like, oh.
Yeah. It's a lot more like impactful in that regard. It's like, oh shit, now shit gets serious, and that's cool. Some of the early episodes rely more on the comedy or establishing some new and weird character, or tell you a bit more about Mob or elaborate more on the themes of the show, which is cool. It's like. I love the world building in One Punch Man, but I feel like in the beginning it's more about just Saitama and Genos, while Mob Psycho 100 immediately goes like, okay, here are all these characters that are in this world of Mob and are that he is kind of connected to, get used to them. And then later when they appear again, you're like, oh, okay, hey, I know these characters. That's cool. And maybe a bit of overload in the beginning in that regard. But since the show, doesn't use such a breakneck pace, it's still, I don't know, pretty manageable in my opinion. And they're all kind of interesting characters and enjoyable. I love the bodybuilding club people and... The fucking lazy Esper Club people who are just sitting around basically playing fucking video games. Except for that one girl who really wants to meet an alien.
It's like, there's Espers out there, we have fun. Oh, we can do it later, though.
Yeah.
And then they meet Mob, it's like, why don't you join our club? I want to join the bodybuilding club.
One of my favorite scenes is probably where they're... where their club is about to be closed and they like strut through the hallways trying to find new members.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Just so many cool visuals in this show. Not just for the action scenes, for the comedy too. Like I said, that style lends itself very well to some great comedic moments and some great visual gags. So yeah, a lot of that in the beginning of the show. Later on it gets more serious, but still it retains that level of comedy. One Punch Man always stays funny too, but it feels like it took more of One Punch Man took more of a serious, straightforward action approach than Mob Psycho did. Like the styles of the show, One Punch Man is a bit more clean cut, more straightforward. Mob Psycho is a bit more, hey, now we're going here, and this is more loose, and this is more a bit more rough, but it's also very enjoyable, and it comes together at the end. So. Yeah, in terms of main characters, I think Mob is a bit more faceted and interesting than Saitama. Which isn't saying that Saitama is a boring character. Hell no. But he's a bit more one-note. Ha! Revenge of the puns. Anyway, he definitely has somewhat of an arc, mostly due to Genos appearing on his doorsteps and kicking him into action. But I think Mob has more of an actual character arc and is more... conflicted and maybe a bit more relatable than Saitama, albeit not as entertaining because, he's a bit more... He's controlling his emotions because he's scared of his powers.
He's a lot more introverted.
Yeah, exactly. He's more soft-spoken, he's more polite and everything. He's very nice. Saitama can be somewhat of an asshole if he wants to. And in that regard, they're pretty different characters. But like I said, I love Saitama. I think he's great. He's super entertaining. He's a fun character. But just in terms of an actual arc and character development, Mob is a bit more interesting. There's happening more with him and towards the end, and how everything in the show relates to his emotional state and what that is saying about in regards to the themes of the show and everything. So yeah, I think if you are searching for, if you're going for a more character focused or character developed show, maybe you would prefer Mob Psycho over One Punch Man, maybe. But the side characters in Mob Psycho are also great. Reagan, of course, is fantastic. He spouted a whole Twitter meme. Where it was fantastic, man. What a time to be alive. Where people had to put up photos and the hashtag redraw as Reagan, and then just redrew that scene in the photo, just with Reagan in there. It was fucking amazing. So many cool pictures of that came out of that, and a lot of people chimed in, and it was amazing. He comes across like a total fraud and crook in the beginning, which in itself is very entertaining.
Which, I mean, but he is, but
yeah, kinda. It's like he. It's not like he doesn't help the people. He just doesn't tell them that it's not actual, spiritual business. He just helps them with other shits. Like a woman that is like, oh, I think I'm cursed. I'm super distressed, and my body aches all over. And he just gives her a super massage, and then she's cured. Or was it guy? I don't know. But it's not like he's like, okay, I'm gonna find out what the problem is. Give me all your money, and I'll talk to you later. No, he actually helps the people. He just doesn't tell them,
I can't help you the way you think I can.
Yeah. It's not you're not cursed. I'm just, I know what your problem is, but I'm not telling you because then you wouldn't pay me. So he's not a real bad guy. There's an actual nice and cool person under all that bullshit. So yeah, and he's very likable actually.
Oh yeah.
In all actuality, he's especially at the end. There's a very important scene at the end, and that makes him super cool, and I enjoyed that immensely. Also, one show has one of the best final episodes I've come across. Very satisfying. The final confrontation is really cool, and I liked it, and I liked Reagan a lot. Ekubo is also entertaining. He's like this
megalomaniacal, just spirit, but he's reduced to nothing.
Yeah, but not completely nothing. I mean, he can still take over bodies, but it's not he doesn't have his former strength. But it's still enough to cause some mischief.
He's just like, hey, let me borrow your body. No.
But he's a cool character. He's entertaining, and Teruki and Ritsu are a good contrast to Mob. Because of their initially very different attitudes to their powers, or to psychic powers in general. And it's interesting what, how they change their view on things, and how basically Mob, or their interaction with Mob, changes their view on things. So, bunch of cool characters. I love them. Well, speaking of characters, do you want to mention any particulars in the voice cast?
Well, there were a few, big actors and actresses in this series. Might as well talk about Mob himself first. I was voiced by Setsuo Ito. He hasn't had many other roles up to this point, but I really like the way he played the characters. Very, timid, very, I don't want to step on anyone's toes sort of way. And it was very fitting, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
Ekubo was played by good old Akio Otsuka, who we may know as Solid Snake.
We do?
Yeah, we do.
He played Solid Snake?
Yep.
Okay, I never heard
among many other characters.
I probably heard the Japanese voice of Solid Snake once, but I'm mostly familiar with the American voice.
Yeah. Another one of his big claims to fame was for a very long time he was the voice of Blackjack, so...
Oh, all right.
But yeah, I just like that he got to be actually really goofy with the role.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
just hearing Otsuka get to go off the rails with this particular character was a lot of fun. What else was there? Ritsu, Mob's brother, was voiced by Miyu Irino, who's been in a number of things. I think one of his biggest claims to fame is probably Sora in Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you don't play Kingdom Hearts the way I and another friend do, you might know him as Saji from Gundam 00.
Mm-hmm.
And what else we got here? Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
Reagan was voiced by everyone's favorite Takahiro Sakurai.
Yes.
I love Sakurai because he's got such a great range. He can go from being, very quiet and, very easygoing to just being loud and boisterous the way Reagan gets at times, like just,
I was about to say, he can use his full, range in that character.
Yeah.
Because Reagan is all over the place.
She goes from being, very, very advisory, very almost fatherly to, in the next moment.
Such a great character. God damn it.
And Teruki was voiced by Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, who's he was Kirito in Sword Art. We're going to push that aside because he's been in actual good things.
He gets more crazy in this one though than Kirito ever got, and
he gets
later on more sympathetic too.
Yeah, he gets to be a little more brash and open, but
yes.
He still plays a very appealing and fun character. Oh, yeah, that's right. He was also for you. He was Soma in Food Wars.
Oh, right. Food Wars, yes. A show that we will revisit later this review season.
Mm-hmm.
I can promise you that. Yeah. Anyone else?
There's, some other people who played smaller roles in there as well. So it's a very large cast because there's so many supporting characters.
Yeah. And all the way through, really great performances. Yeah, I love the characters in the show, and the voice cast did a good job of bringing them to life. And yeah, what was your favorite thing about the show? I'm just gonna throw that out there. Was it one of the characters? Was it the overall plot?
Trying to pick a favorite character. You always ask me this, and I always have a hard time because I like so many of the characters. Except for in shows.
Well, you can name anything. You don't need to name character.
I just like that, this came out of the same mind that One Punch Man did, and there's enough contrast in there, to see that he's able to write, something with a different sort of flavor to it,
Yeah, exactly. I was really surprised by that because just from the beginning, like I said, when it's super powerful Esper, and it's like, oh, wait a minute. So he's doing another webcomic with a basically unbeatable, super strong guy. And I'm like, okay, this is one a one-trick pony, and yeah, no, this is like. You would think that, but we elaborated on in the review, it's like it goes into a completely different direction, and it was a really nice surprise, and makes it more interesting to see in the future. I like that too, and I like that it pretty much came all together in the end.
Yeah,
I said in the beginning, you are not quite sure if it can pull itself together, and sometimes it feels like it moves at a breakneck pace to get there. but in the end, yeah, it just works. Everything comes together, and I'm glad the webcomic is still running, because I want to see where the story goes. I want to learn what Claw's plans are and what that means for Mob and the rest of the gang, and I want more of that crazy fluid animation, because it looks fucking amazing, and that's part of what you watch an animated show for, right? I mean, come on.
Just to see more of that sweet Sakuga, man.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if the animation is my favorite thing about the show, because I like the characters so much. I think it's a complete package. And if I had to like decide whether I like this or One Punch Man more, I couldn't, I think, because I like both shows pretty much the same amount for different reasons. Mob Psycho gave me a bit more of, I don't know, emotional response in terms of the characterization and everything. Like there was a bit more meat to it in that regard. But One Punch Man had the cooler fight scenes and, the more, I don't know, colorful hero characters on the side, and I always love superhero stuff, so just I like the superhero stuff more than the Asper stuff, so the setup alone was in itself more appealing to me in that regard. But yeah, every both of the shows have like their own merits, and together they amount to equally enjoyable shows for different reasons, and yeah, and except for they're both incredibly well animated, but also in a different style. So yeah, I love both those shows, and I'm really anxious to see where they both go. I hope we get plenty more seasons for both of them. Maybe taking turns. Next year we're gonna get more One Punch Man apparently. So for 2018, maybe more Mob Psycho 100, please.
Cross your fingers.
Oh, I would really enjoy that. So yeah, I recommend this show to absolutely everyone, especially to you people out there who watched and enjoyed One Punch Man. If you did, you probably already have watched Mob Psycho 100. But if, for some reason, if you haven't, or haven't you watched One Punch Man, watch both those shows. They're great. Definitely one of the shows I enjoyed the most in the previous seasons. Was visually appealing and interesting. And I think, John, you felt the same.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a delight on several levels.
And that is a wrap on the 17th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to vrit.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and animebrainfreeze.com. Leave us comments and questions any way you like, or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next show. Macht's gut.
See you later. Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
Dangerous, deadly body art.
Cute culinary delights.
And
musical dogfights.
in space!